Yeah, I got a lot of the same sentiment today. I got it last night on, just reading tweets, and then after arrow up, arrow down, same thing. And I think this morning I got it on Extra Point Show. And look, I think there's definitely things that need to be improved. The third down defense was not good last night. There's no doubt about that. There's some other things about the offense that stalled. No doubt. There's always room for improvement. There's always things you want to go back. It was not perfect. It wasn't the best, most clean game. But, man, I think that expectations are getting a little bit out of reality here for a lot of people, to be quite honest with you guys. I mean, just because you're favored to win by 12.5 doesn't mean you should win by 20. And you score 31 points a game, 31 points in a game against a division rival on 4 days rest. I mean, I think we've gotten to a point, and I've made this point, and I think Chris has made this point, Chris Brown. I just think that we live now in an era where people watch highlights of teams and players and play fantasy football, and there's this expectation or maybe perception that all of these teams and these players are just doing all these incredible things all the time and can't do anything wrong. So when the Mills do something wrong, it seems like it's totally out of character and you're the only team. That's just not reality. It's not the way it is. So, yeah, I think that there are things to be critical about in this game. But holy cow, man, you just beat the Dolphins by 10 points at home on 4 days rest, a team that was 0-2 and trying to claw their season. I think that's a pretty good win in my book.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I'll just add here, not that we are responsible for people's expectations, but some of it, I think, we spent a lot of the week talking about Mike McDaniel was going to walk the plank after this game, and because the Bills are going to stomp him, and so that raises expectations, even subtly, even if you don't take it all in and digest it. You're hearing it if you're plugged in and paying attention to shows like this one and others. So there is, I think, a certain expectation. But I definitely agree with the watching the whole league and understanding that everyone just doesn't do everything right all the time. It isn't perfect. So it was it got tense there last night, yeah. But I guess it should, right? It's a football game.
That's exactly right. I think it should. Although I say overall it should, but I do think that it shouldn't at a point in the game where the Bills had a chance to go up 2 scores. They're at the Miami 16-yard line. At the very worst, it should be 17-7 after that drive, but it probably should be 21-7. They don't cash in. They have no gain. They have a -2 play, and then they get a sack, and then they miss the field goal. And Miami comes down and scores. That's where you should have put them away. There's criticism here, no doubt. Mm-hmm. That's you got to execute better there. No doubt about that. There were times in this game where I felt that the Bills' offense just did not push the ball down the field enough. And look, that was a criticism I got a lot of today. I've heard, and I had a couple people say to me today, well, I can't believe the Bills or Joe Brady aren't letting Josh Allen, not allowing him to throw down the field. What do you mean not allowing? He has the ball. He's in control of that. He's the guy that makes that decision. Do people really think that there aren't players running routes more than 10 yards downfield? That's just unrealistic to think that. What the reality is that Josh Allen had a couple of times where he looked downfield and decided to check it down. And that the Bills are probably trying to make sure that they protect the ball as best they can by not taking unnecessary risks on certain play calls. No doubt about that. I saw with my own two eyes from the field, Josh Allen look downfield several times and then decide, you know what? I'm throwing it down here. I'm taking the check down. So, yeah, I just think that sometimes the criticism is so general because you don't see what's actually going on. And that's okay. Fans can be fans, and they want to have they have a certain expectation for their teams. I also just think this fan base is a bit spoiled, to be quite honest with you, because of what this team has been able to do. Boy, I remember last year the Bills were scoring 30 points a game, and, the defense was letting up points. And I literally had people say to me, well, I don't care. You need to score 40 a game then. What are we talking about here? Nobody does that in this league.
One thing, too, about the check down options, if that's going to be a 5-yard play, their thing is the 3 tight ends and James Cook and getting open receivers out of different formations in that personnel group, using Gilliam, too. And a 5-yard play, they have not turned the ball over at all. That's become their brand here in a year plus. That'll work. And last night was an example of this. And they have taken the whole 6th offensive lineman or 3rd tight, the whole thing up notches this year, and you said it right after the draft with respect to Hawes. Here's a guy who can be Alec Anderson and better, and also an eligible receiver who has experience, running routes. And what a start to his career, Sal. Interesting sequence there right at his touchdown. The snap, the timeout is called on, it's not even the play before. It's that play. They regroup. He's back out there in that same position, goes in motion, slips, comes back, and, that this is the way of the Bills these days. Of course, Allen avoids him, just stepping back, no issue, and then he's ready for that shovel pass there for the touchdown. Interesting player, big hit in the betting props last night if you happen to have him, and what a great start for him.
No doubt about it. And listen, I mean, he is doing exactly what this team drafted him to do. When he was drafted, it wasn't just he's a blocking tight end, he's really great at it. I think we all saw that, but we knew and we were told, look, he could actually catch a pass or two once in a while. He's not some just, bumbling blocking tight end. He's not alignment. He's a tight end. That's what he does. He's also super smart, by the way, right? I mean, he went to Yale before he went to Georgia Tech to play football. So, he's a smart guy. I love the Bills are doing exactly what they wanted to do for years at the tight end position now. And the way Jackson Hawes described, by the way, after the game to me, he threw in Reggie Gilliam in that group, said, we have a four-headed snake. That's what he said, because they can just come at you. They can pound you. And when teams run, I asked the guys, I asked Austin Knox, I asked Jackson Hawes about what can you do to a defense when you can put three tight ends in the field and they still don't know if you're actually going to run the ball, right? How much of a stress is that on a defense? And, yeah, they love it. They just love that they can just do so much with those three guys in the field and, be able to come at you in a lot of different ways. But you're right, Mike. The Bills' offense is, hey, we don't have to get 11 yards on the first play and all the way down the field. No, we can do 5, and then we can do 6, and we can put ourselves in second and short, and we can set ourselves up for these more manageable situations. And to them, there's nothing wrong with it. And I know fans, it's not sexy for a lot of people, and I'd love to see Josh Allen throw deep ball after deep ball. That'd be great. But the Bills have this philosophy now of we have a guy here that we want to keep healthy for 17 games. We don't need to take risks because we're good enough to win without taking risks and to give the other team extra chances. So as long as we can keep doing that, we're going to keep doing that.
Sal, how about James Cook in this game? I'm curious if your view from the sideline and if you look back on it at all, it felt like he was a whisker away from breaking 2 or 3 really big runs.
He was super close. I mean, the one ankle tackle went on the toss sweep to the right, guys. To the right, going right to left on television, towards the scoreboard end. Toss sweep to the right. Man, he just didn't get out of the ankle tackle. He said that after the game. He said he was a little I don't know if he was frustrated, whatever word he was, that he thought that he could have taken, the way he said it, I could have taken a couple to the crib, right? He didn't take a couple to the crib.
I think that's the one Fitzpatrick got him on, I think is the one you're referring to. That was right in front of me where we were sitting.
Yes,
right?
yes. Right. So I think no doubt. But, man, James is he's really stepped up. I had a caller today in the Extra Point Show make a good point. He said not only the Bills might have the MVP, they could have the Offensive Player of the Year, James Cook. I mean, he really is starting off as a player that could be in that conversation.
Yeah, right.
That's how good he's been, actually, right? I mean, you think about what he did last year, and I remember Matthew Berry. I'm reading Love Hate by Matthew Berry before the season for fantasy, and Matthew Berry's like, here's players I hate this year. When he says hate, he means you shouldn't be this high on him. And he had James Cook. And he said the regression in touchdowns is inevitable. Well, so far it isn't. I mean, he just tied a franchise record with his 7th straight game with a rushing touchdown.
How about his usage? Now, the first 2 games, it was very much like it had been last year and even the year before. But last night, 67% of the snaps, the vast more than 70%, I think, of the carries in the game. Is that hope? I'm going to hope that that's game script because I want to be careful. Like when he signed the contract, I know a lot of us wondered, okay, does that mean they're going to use him more because they want to get more out of him? And my thought was, don't do that. It works the way it is. You've got your guys in your roles. I wonder, Davis has had a very uneventful, to be kind, start to the season so far.
No carries last night.
Right. Yeah. Ty Johnson is still in his role. I just wonder if last night was maybe an aberration, or are we seeing a trend where maybe Cook is becoming more of a guy that's going to be on the field that much?
I think he will be on the field more than he was last year. I think they're showing a little bit more faith in him in all situations. And yes, you're right. I think it's kind of curious to me that Ray Davis hasn't been really that involved. I do want to give some space here, and I don't know this. We're not in there, and they wouldn't tell for sure. But I do want to give some space here to the fact that they have 10 days off after this game, and they knew that. And I think it's easier. I mean, Joey Bosa is another good example of this guy. Joey Bosa, when he played 69% of the snaps week one, we were told, yeah, that's a little higher than we want. He was over 80% in this game. And I just wonder if it's the Bills knew, hey, there's 10, you leave it all hang out this game. Like, let's go out, win this game, it's division, and then you got 10 days before the next game. So we could put a little bit more on these guys if we have to.
And it was close. Like,
yes.
they needed it. It was important. And you'd want to think if it's tied mid to late fourth quarter, your best players are on the field.
The one usage on Bosa, we had a caller earlier that, was I want to be critical. And, I got things I want to be critical about. Well, maybe my least favorite thing that happened all night last night does pertain to Bosa. And and I guess it's snap percentage, as it turns out, like how often he's playing. What is he doing on the field on that last Miami series? Is that just let's try to get him a sack for bonuses or something? The game is over. You've got your 10-point lead, and he got collided with, and he's fine. I assume we haven't heard anything, but man, that I'm watching that happen. He missed the tackle, and then a teammate, I think, collided with him, and I saw it and went why are you not in bubble wrap right now? The game is over.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't really know, and didn't think about that. But maybe it's because he was the only person getting close to Tua. But you're right, it was pretty much over anyway. Right. But he really was the only person getting close to Tua other than Tre'Davious White when he came clean on a blitz and should have had him and just took a bad angle at the end of it, and Tua got out of it, right? I mean, my criticism is of third down defense, but I think Sean McDermott had a really interesting take on that today. Sean's honest. He's going to tell you and it wasn't good enough, the percentage. Sean's take on the third down defense was, look, we forced 15 third down opportunities. That's a lot. And they were really good on first and second down, but no doubt you got to finish the third down, right? You get them there, you got to finish. He wasn't excusing it, but he was actually very happy with the defense played overall, because I think the way it sounded to me, what he was saying was, look, when you put a team into 15 different third down situations, generally you're going to get off the field, but no doubt they have to do a better job. And he actually, Sean liked the way the defense played based on his comments after the game and today.
All right, Sal, are they off for a few days here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I asked Deion Dawkins about that, and he goes, man, he goes, there won't be no days off. McDermott will have us in here doing something, right? But I think so. I think they're going to. I don't know the exact schedule, but they did McDermott and coordinators today, so obviously that means, this weekend they won't be they probably – I don't know if they will on Monday, but it tells me it probably won't on Monday. They'll get some time off here, and then next week they'll be back at it for a regular Sunday afternoon game the following week.
Very good. Thanks for this, and we'll talk next week.
All right, you got it, guys. Thank you.
All right, it's our dude Sal Capaccio on the Wester Hotline. His appearances are always brought to you by New York's only